25 or so. From Donnie Hand is an Oklahoma State fan. I was one of those fans. He was one of those fans that said Oklahoma State would be exposed in Austin, and early on it didn't look great, but they just found a way to get back in the game like Oklahoma did, wore them down. Warren was incredible in the second half. Spencer Sanders was not the good one in the first half, but it was okay. They just found a way to keep going. Bob Williams, I've never said Aranda to LSU except as a question. I do believe he would be a great fit there, though. All right? Chet Buxton. Think about the total buyout is $17 million for Coach Orgeron.
Yeah, going back to Oklahoma State, go damn Pokes indeed. I mean, that was a great win for them. And, Jaylen Warren went off and did what he does. He's a great running back for them. And, what an addition he was through the transfer portal. I did not see that coming. I mean, not the fact that they won, but the way that game was looking about halfway through, I did not see them digging out of a hole and coming storming back. But there's something about the Longhorns in second halves that they need to figure out, because that's become a bugaboo for them now. And you look at UT and all of the fun and fireworks that they had with, of course, the tail kicking from Arkansas, but then being able to rebound after that, and the big competitive game with Oklahoma. And if you go back to 2 weeks ago and to when Texas had that lead over Oklahoma, and the feeling there was for that team then versus the feeling there is now, 2 straight losses later, and it's crazy, how it can kind of flip on you like that. And all of a sudden you go from, man, we're going to throw all over everybody, to like, now we have question marks. Like, is the quarterback still the right guy? Is Casey, like, now we're back to that now at 4-3. Like, there's actually discussion about, like, is there a chance we see Hudson Card now again? And so it's crazy how quickly the roller coaster can change directions. But that was a great win for Oklahoma State. They just keep getting it done. Like, it's not the most impressive, it's not the sexiest, but they get it done. And that's all you got to do is just keep winning games, and they are. So credit to Gundy and the Cowboys.
Your question about the quarterback brings me back to my early theory that maybe the 2022 quarterback's not on the roster right now for Steve Sarkisian, because if they keep having these ups and downs, I mean, he wrestled with which one to put in, and Casey Thompson played well for a stretch, but now they faded in 2 straight fourth quarters. And
and Bijan Robinson had another nice game for them. 21 carries, $135, caught a touchdown and ran for one as well. But they just seemed like they forget that the game's 4 quarters, and so that's something they have to work on. UT San Antonio, I mentioned, first time they've ever been ranked. Cincinnati, they just crushed UCF and beat them and made them like it. Number 2 in the country. Georgia put everything back together, of course, where Kentucky was as far as reality. Doesn't mean Kentucky's not a good football team, but
no, I mean, they
beat them up pretty good.
They didn't get embarrassed,
no,
though.
Not
I mean,
at
it wasn't
all.
like they got blown out and just, completely, had their face, their masks ripped off and, oh, wait a second, you're not a real good team. You're a phony. No, like they got beat by the best team in the country. So what? And they, played respectably. So hats off to them.
Armstrong, do you have the image? Let me go to the first one I want to ask you about. Then I want to hear from Dave Aranda. It's on the fact that Baylor had no penalties in that game with Brigham Young, which is a team that's been penalized Baylor quite a bit. Do you have the image of UT's second half possessions? I sent that to you. Here you are. This is UT in the second half. Now put this in perspective. Look at the column, which is punt, kickoff, punt, receive. Think about this. They had nothing going. The one on the red, punt, and then I can't even see the red. They had nothing. -3 yards, 7, 4, -6, 7, and 5. I mean, they didn't take any time off the clock, and so then the defense gets worn out. It was very eerily similar almost to Oklahoma in the second half. And that game was still up for grabs, and Texas seemed like they could still survive. The pick 6 from Casey Thompson eventually ate their lunch. That kind of flipped everything, because at the time I think it was 17-3.
And they were going to score again.
Yeah, they were inside the red zone.
They were about to be up huge, and just a great read as a play that he had seen before, and made the right read and jump on it, and it was a perfect play. That was a huge spark that Oklahoma State needed, and that kind of kick-started everything ultimately rolling back in their favor. So without that pick 6, and who knows where that final result ends up, but certainly with that, that's a big reason why Oklahoma State was able to win that game.
After the game, Baylor